All right, chapter 15 of the book of Exodus. So this is after the great separation of the Red Sea that has happened, and now the children of Israel are on the other side. They are literally free of Egypt. There's nothing Egypt can do about it now, basically, which is good. They are free. They don't have to worry about Egypt anymore. But now, again, we get how quick things change. Oh, how quick people forget the great goodness of God and the miracles he's performed for them, and they end up complaining to him again. So let's get into this. Children of Israel sing the song of Moses. They extol the Lord as a man of war and rejoice in their deliverance from Egypt. The waters of Mara are healed. The Lord promises to free Israel from the diseases of Egypt. So some fun stuff we get to learn today. Verse 1, Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, and spake, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea, meaning the Egyptians. The Lord is my strength and my song. He is become my salvation. He is my God, and I will prepare him an habitation, my father's God, and I will exalt him. If those sound familiar, there are hymns that actually do use some of those words in them. The Lord is a man of war. That actually also means Lord of hosts. If you see that, Lord of hosts, that means God of war, basically. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host hath he cast into the sea. His chosen captains are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Lord, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Lord, hath dashed in pieces the enemy. In the greatness of thine excellency thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils the waters were gathered together. The flood stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow thy wind, the sea covered them, they sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto thy holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestina. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab, trembling, shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm they shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance, in the place, O Lord, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in the sanctuary, O Lord, which thy hands have established. The Lord shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea, and the Lord brought again the waters of the sea upon them, but the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. So that is those verses is the song that they came up with, and they sang it. And if it kind of feels like it went down these subjects and kind of followed some of those subjects back, that is called a chiasmus. It's a way of writing things where you start with the topic, you get into more and more topics, and then you follow those same topics back out in the opposite order you just read them in, and back them back out basically as well. So it's kind of a chiasmic writing, very common writing in the Old Testament, especially before the exile of Babylonia. When Babylon comes through in Jeremiah's time, we see a difference in how the Old Testament is written from pre versus post exilic language, basically. It's pretty interesting. Chiasmus like that were pretty common in pre-Babylonian exile times, which is fascinating because the Book of Mormon has a bunch of them in it. The Book of Mormon's language matches the pre-exile language of the Jews and the Israelites, basically. It wasn't post, because the the Lehi and his family, they never experienced the exile of Babylon. They left about a decade before that happened. So another fun little tidbit to understand the Book of Mormon better. So they sang this great song, had all these things to talk about the Lord. They're excited, they're happy, they're positive that they're free from Egypt. And the Lord did this amazing miracle for them, basically, which is, honestly, it's got to be a spectacular sight to see how this would work. Verse 20, now, and Miriam, who you can find in the Bible dictionary, by the way, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, which is Moses' sister as well. So that Miriam, remember, was probably the young lady that followed Moses when Moses was set afloat in the basket. Remember, so Miriam's much older than Moses. She took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. They're having a great time. They're singing, they're dancing, they're enjoying this newfound freedom that Moses has given them, basically. Verse 21, and Miriam answered them, sing ye to the Lord, for he hath triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. So Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. So 3 days in the wilderness walking with no water. That is terrible. I mean, that's a hard thing to deal with, basically. In fact, you can look up in the Bible dictionary, wilderness of Exodus, if you want to understand some of these terms and ideas and where they went better. So a whole section of the Bible dictionary on that. So they came and they went 3 days with no water, with all that walking. It's a deserty area. I'm sure they're just parched. They're struggling, not singing, dancing anymore. They're pretty out of it. You can go almost a month without food, so long as you have water. If you have no water, it's actually bad for you to eat. So if you're ever camping in a survival situation or emergency disaster or something, realize that if you eat like processed foods, crackers, snacks, sugary items, other things like that, you're going to need water. Your body wants water to help process that. So eating will dehydrate you faster. So unless you're eating fruit, something that contains water, you're not getting a lot of water when you eat stuff, especially highly processed foods. So it's a general rule, if you don't have water, then you're better off not eating either, just because the more you eat, the more you're going to dehydrate yourself, because your body needs water to process the food, go through the digestive tract and everything else, and it'll draw it from the rest of the body so that it has enough to function. So which is, again, going to make you more parched and dry in the rest of your body. So, and you can probably go almost a week without water. If you go a week without water, you're going to be close to dying because you so need water. So 3 days without water is pushing it. That's pretty good. Verse 23, and when they came to Marah, they could not drink of the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore, the name of it was called Marah. So that probably means bitter waters. There's a problem in the water that doesn't make it potable, doesn't make it worth drinking, basically. Verse 24, and the people murmured against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? So now they're complaining to Moses. And this is, unfortunately for Moses, this is a time that is not the beginning of a whole lot of murmuring and complaining he's going to hear about, unfortunately. And so verse 25, and he cried unto the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree, which he had cast into the waters, which when he had cast into the waters were made sweet. There he made for them a statute and an ordinance, and there he proved them. So Moses prays, hey, we need to do this, we need water. Here's these waters, but they're bitter, they're not good. So he casts this tree in, and it cleans the water out, and everything's good. Not that, let's go to verse 26 here. And said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of the Lord thy God, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and wilt give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee. And they came to Elim, where were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees, and they encamped there by the waters. So he kind of the Lord used this as an opportunity to teach the people, if you follow me, if you keep my commandments and do what I say, I will not have the problems of Egypt fall upon you. Remember all those plagues and problems? None of that'll happen to you if you keep my covenants and my promises. So some really good promises that they were kept. Kind of a nice little opportunity for an object lesson that the children of Israel were given at this time. Unfortunately, I don't know if they really learned it well or they just forgot quickly. Uh, Sometimes when life is hard, we have short memories about things. So, but they finally find this really nice place that has, like it says, 12 wells of water and a ton of palm trees. I believe that's 70, 20, well, it says here 27 palm trees. So plenty of water, shade, abundance. They're in a nice little area where they're going to stay for a little while. So stay tuned for the next part of this story.